Hey guys, welcome back to part 4. We're talking Bandit sign marketing for your real estate investing business. This has been a fantastic series. I truly hope you guys have got a lot of value. If you have not seen parts 1, 2, and 3, I've spliced them up so that way I keep this very concise and right to the point. So part 1, I share with you a very ninja secret tip of how you can save a lot of money, especially over time, on Bandit signs, to do them much more cost effectively and so that you can have money to potentially outsource them, which is what we're going to talk about here in just a minute today. And then part 2, I shared with you all about code enforcement, the sign police, what to say on Bandit signs, the very best colors to use, the right marketing message, how to strategically position the phone number, do we use 7 digits or 10 digits, where to get your phone number. And then in part 3, we talked all about volume and consistency and frequency, when you should put them out, what's the best time of day, the best time of week, all that type of thing, the volume. And today, my friends, we're going to get in how to outsource this. 2 foolproof ways to ensure that this campaign is successful and that you get results. And then what to expect as far as the type of calls that are coming in. So I want to dive right in. Part 1, 2, and 3 will be linked. In the upper right corner of this video, there's a little icon there, and I recommend opening those into new tabs or saving them to a possible playlist. Because you want to watch these in order and you want to make sure you watch every second of these videos, because if you do that, these strategies have added over 6 figures to my business, my students' business, and these strategies work a ton. But again, you have to do them with the right strategy behind it, the right purpose, the right intentions, and you'll notice how everything we do, there's a reason why we're doing it, and there's a little bit of a twist behind it that makes it a little bit different than how a lot of people in the market are doing Bandit signs. And I want you guys to stand out, I want you to be different, and I want you to get results, okay? So, without further ado, let's dive in. I'm a little jazzed up this morning on coffee. I was up at 4:30 a.m. So as you saw in one of my previous videos, that's been a new habit in my life, is getting up at 4:30 a.m., getting my CrossFit workout done at 5 a.m. or started at 5 a.m., done at 6 a.m. So it's just after 9. I've already got a couple videos recorded for the day. Feeling good, feeling productive, and I'm having a ton of fun. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Let's talk about outsourcing, okay? So how to outsource this. So, because I get this question a lot and I want you guys to have some tangible things. So the reason why this is so big is because when we talk about consistency and wanting to get leads flooding in your business on a consistent basis, this becomes really important. So if I asked you, would you like to put out Bandit signs for the rest of your life or the rest of your career as a real estate investor every single solitary weekend on Friday nights? You're probably going to say, Steven, no, that doesn't sound like the life of freedom that I, got into real estate to achieve. I want to spend time with my family and my loved ones, and I'm not sure I want to put out Bandit signs for the rest of my life. I totally get that. I don't either, right? But there is that dues paying time. There is that sacrifice period to get leads flooding in, to get results, to make money in your business. And if you guys want a little bit further story about kind of how I used to get up at like 2 in the morning, put out these signs till 5, and I was working full time and all of that, I had a documentary recorded not too long ago, and it's like 11 minutes or so, but it kind of like tells this story in a lot more vivid detail, and I'll link to that as well. So I highly recommend going and checking out my documentary. Again, it's not to puff me up or to make me look cool or anything like that, but it's really just sharing you a lot of the pain and a lot of the journey that I went through. And the reason I recorded it is to inspire people, because I know that, if I was able to go through that, any one of you watching this video can go through it as well, and you can also get results. And I want you to believe that to your core. And so I just wanted to share that, because I talk kind of about, that pain of like working full-time 40, 50 hours a week, and then trying to work on my real estate business in the evenings, for a couple of hours, and then Friday nights setting my alarm to go out and put out Bandit signs, and then, coming back and sleeping for a few hours and waking up on Saturday and kind of hustling in my business for a few hours and then going off to do family things. And there was that period of kind of pain and sacrifice and paying my dues for just a little bit. And then the reward was amazing. And so I just, I want to inspire you guys with that, because any one of you watching this, when you put in that work and you do it with some strategy behind it, it's worth it, right? And this can really produce some right now leads for your business. And I want you guys to have that confidence. All right, so I say all that because outsourcing becomes very important if we want to eventually live that life of freedom and still get leads coming in our business. So it's important to kind of know where to advertise, what to charge, and how to increase retention. So first and foremost, I recommend you personally doing Bandit signs in your business, if at all possible, for the first 3 months, every single weekend, 12 weeks in a row, without missing, a single weekend, right? That is the goal, right? And to get as close to that as humanly possible, because before you pay someone else to do it, you need to pay those dues. You need to put these out yourself. You need to know where to put them out, on what corners. You need to know, all of the kind of inner working, so that you can write a compelling advertisement, and so you can teach someone else to do it exactly like you personally know how to do it. Otherwise, you're kind of teaching them how to do it off of theory, and the results might not be as good as they could be, right? So don't try to avoid the necessary work. Just do the work if at all possible. Now, I know there's some watching this video. I've worked with CEOs before. I've worked with people who are doctors and attorneys and already making over 6 figures. They're working 60 hours a week. And maybe this is something that they just simply don't have the time to do. They're working 60, 80 hours a week, and they know that they're not going to do this. Then in that situation, maybe you go ahead and you start paying someone from the beginning. So take what I'm saying, take what resonates with you, and ditch the rest. But I'm telling you, honest to goodness, what I believe and what I know and believe that will work for you guys. But again, you can take little things and just make it work for yourself and your situation. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important to mention. But if at all possible, do it yourself first. And then after 3 months, after you get some deals coming in from it, your reward is then you get to outsource it. No deals, no reward, right? So that's my advice there. Where to advertise? I would advertise on Craigslist. And again, you want to write a compelling ad. You want to write an ad with a headline and kind of paint the vision of what you want them to do. And when you talk with somebody, you want them to know, that you have a real estate investing business and that you're looking for kind of a person that can do some odd and ends type things. This is a weekly, cash payment that you're going to pay them. What you want to charge. Now, the average for somebody to put out signs is they will pay someone $1 per sign. Recently, people have been increasing that to $1.50 per sign as far as what to pay someone. And you're going to find out, if you ask wholesalers in your area, other investors, you might get a gauge, and your market might be slightly less expensive or slightly more expensive. But I'd say right now, the average is paying someone about $1 to $1.50. I recommend paying them a little bit more, and here's why. And I'm going to show you, and now we're going to kind of talk about this aspect here, how to increase retention. So I'm going to give you a couple ways to do this. Number one, you want to pay them just a little bit more. So if the average in your area is $1.50, pay them $2. Why? Because you want this person to stick around a little bit longer, right? It's not the most glamorous job in the world, putting out signs for someone every single week. But there are a lot of people, and this is something to feel good about. There's a lot of people who are looking for kind of like general labor positions. And that's the area of Craigslist that you want to advertise in. You can also ask your area of influence, your network. You can also put this on Facebook, different things. Get creative as far as where to advertise this. But a huge place is Craigslist. And when you're doing this, you can feel good about it, because there are people that really are just looking for any way possible to earn some extra income, and they're maybe in a bad spot, or just they're hustling. They're trying to provide for their family and put food on the table, and some consistent cash coming into their life is a very valuable thing. And if you're paying them $2 a sign, they're putting out 50 signs a week for you. That's an extra $100 cash for a few hours worth of work every Friday night, right? That's, if it takes them 4 hours, that's $25 an hour. If it takes them only 2 or 3 hours, that's, $30, $40, $50 an hour. Why would you want to increase retention? Well, what happens, and what happened to me, is when I started paying someone, I found somebody that was really, really good, and then after a few weeks, they found another side job. So then you're kind of back to square one. And that's kind of demoralizing when, you've done Bandit signs for so long, and you finally get to the point where you say, hey, I have enough money to outsource this now to someone else. And you find somebody who's trustworthy, who's good, who does good work, who has integrity, and they do a really good job. And then let's say after 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, they're like, hey, sorry, Steven, I picked up another job. I'm not going to be able to do the signs anymore. Maybe I can do them again in a few months, but then you don't hear from them. That is something that can happen very normally and very naturally, right? So I want you to have proper expectations, and if you don't have strong willpower, if you let little problems and hurdles stop you as an entrepreneur, as a real estate investor, you're going to have a very tough time, number one, being a successful investor, being an entrepreneur, because the life of an entrepreneur is solving little problems quickly and efficiently and effectively. And it took me a long time to realize that. I used to try to avoid problems, but no, it's like you want to learn how to solve problems very quickly. And the more problems you can help people solve, whether they're a motivated seller, whether they're a buyer, whether there's somebody that's working with you or for you, the more successful you're going to be, right? So it's not about avoiding a problem, and having the expectations, the proper expectations of what to expect and what problems can come up is what I'm trying to help you guys with, so that way you can be more effective in your business. So if you like that, definitely smash the like button. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you've experienced that before, I know it can be frustrating, but don't give up. Don't let that stop you, because what can happen is you're like, man, this sucks. Now I have to go put out signs, or I have to scramble and find someone else to put out signs for me. And then maybe those next 3 weekends, you've kind of checked it off your mind that I'm not putting out signs anymore. And then the leads start to drop. And then, so it can be this cycle, right? So if we can find a way to increase our retention rate with people who work with us, it saves so much up and down emotion. It saves so much stress. It saves so much time. And it allows you to be more consistent and have longevity in your business, right? Which is very, very important. So that is why I believe, why not pay them a little bit more? The other thing that you can do is you can incentivize them. So let's say you have Johnny who's working with you, and he's putting out signs for you every single Friday night. And for the first couple of weeks, I'd also have them take pictures of the signs that they put out for you. And then until you build that trustworthiness over time with them. And then eventually, another little tip that you can do too is, in video 1, we talked about getting signs locally from a plastics company. You can eventually, maybe you pay Johnny to go pick up the signs from the local plastics company and to write out the signs for you, because I believe in handwritten signs yield better results. And again, it gets very annoying, it gets very time consuming writing out 50 signs by hand. And again, that's something you can outsource. So if you have Johnny go pick up 50 signs for you, or let's say he picks up 300 every so often, and he just stores them at his house or whatever, or his garage, and he writes out the signs for you. He picks them up, writes them out, and puts them out. Maybe you pay $2.50 a sign, maybe even $3 a sign. My friend, it's worth it. It's worth the time, because all it takes is a $5,000 or $10,000 deal that comes in, and it makes all of this worth it, right? And that can happen if you're consistent enough and you do this with the right strategy that I'm teaching you in these videos, okay? So the next thing you can do is offer an incentive. So I recommend offering a $250 Visa gift card for every deal that you do that came from a Bandit sign. So when you're collecting leads in your business, you need to start asking the leads, hey, how did you hear about us? What prompted you to give me a call today? Number one, it's going to tell you a little bit more insight from the motivated seller, why they called you. You can say, hey, Janice, I was just curious, what prompted you to pick up the phone today? Maybe you've seen some other signs, you got a few letters in the mail. If you don't mind sharing, I'd love to kind of know what prompted you to call me today, and how actually did you hear about me? I know we do a little bit of advertising here in the area. And if they called in from a Bandit sign, then I recommend following up with Johnny and getting him, just surprising him with a $250 gift card if you end up doing a deal from that lead, right? So what if once a month he's getting an extra $250 gift card from you? He's going to be more likely to stay with you over the long term. And then the next thing you can do is kind of like super ninja, and this goes along with just being a good person, right? Being a good investor, trying to really build people up. Because again, Johnny, in this example, who's working with you, is trying to make some extra money, trying to put some food on the table, and being able to offer somebody a job and offer them, cash every week. It's a great feeling to know that you're really helping his situation. There's some gift cards coming in. So what if in your Craigslist ad, or better yet, when you have them call you and you speak with them on the phone before you hire them, you kind of tell them a little bit about your business, and you say, hey, Johnny, I'm looking for somebody for the long term, and it doesn't have to be for crazy long term, but I'm building a real estate investment company here in the blank blank area, and I this is the task, blah 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 blah, and I'm looking for somebody who kind of like buys into the vision of what we're trying to do. We're trying to help sellers, we're trying to kind of revitalize the community, and we work with buyers who flip houses and rent out houses and stuff like that. And this is kind of where the job is right now, but I want to develop kind of a long-term relationship with somebody that I can really, really trust. And there's going to be future opportunities as well. Maybe, I need you to pick up a contract out at a property, or go take some pictures, or, whatever the case is. You want to like let them know the vision, and there's some extra side jobs that they could pick up with you potentially in the future. So that's a really big tip with retention, because then they believe in what you're doing. They buy into your company. They buy into your vision. They buy into what you're doing, and they realize, that you're building something special, and a lot of times they want to be a part of that, right? It's really powerful. All right, guys, so that about sums it up for outsourcing, but just a couple other things that I didn't mention is you really want to take time writing a compelling ad with a really compelling headline, spell out exactly what the details of the job are, maybe paint a little bit of the vision of your company, of your business, how there could be some other opportunities, and then give people a really strong call to action in the Craigslist ad or wherever you're advertising this potential job, to have them call you personally and directly on your cell, and also to drop you an email. So you want to speak with these people, you want to develop a connection there, and don't just go with the first person who calls you. Really find someone that you feel that you can trust and that you connect with. And also, don't be surprised if you have to, over time, even with these tips, you might have to go through a few people. And if the first person quits after a month or two, welcome to being an employer, right? Even though you're not technically an employer, it's the life of any time you're hiring somebody, there's gonna be a little bit of turnover. So if you expect that going in, then you're not gonna be devastated when it happens. But by doing some of these, you can increase the retention rate and have a lot more success with it, guys. So spend time, don't shortcut the ad. Be very, very clear in your communication, and hold yourself to a really high standard, but just be real with people. Be honest, be vulnerable, and connect with people. And that's going to be really, powerful in helping you with finding the right person to work with you and stuff like that. So outsourcing is a big piece of this that can help longevity wise. So next, let's finish this video up here. I don't want to let the time get away from us here. I promised I'd share with you 2 foolproof ways to ensure you get results with this Bandit sign campaign. And I'm actually going to give you 3. So don't let the simplicity of this fool you. So number 1, I want you to decide. I want you to make a definite decision, not just kind of a willy-nilly, like tossing a number in the air, but I want you to make a firm, hardcore commitment of what your volume is going to be in your business, right? And then I want you to set a start date, okay? So that is one of the first things I want you to do. And then here's the thing. I want you to get like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc, and I want you to put those, the day that you're going to do it, and I want you to put it in a spreadsheet, and then I want you to actually track what you actually do. And I don't want you to just to track it the first weekend. I want you to track it over the next year, okay? Even though we're talking maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, you really want to do this campaign every weekend throughout the entire year. That is the goal. That's what's going to get you some of those bigger numbers. So I want you to track what you actually do, because intention and like, oh yeah, Steven, that sounds good, and I think I might do this. I might try 15 or 20 signs at first just to see how it works. If you kind of have that mindset and that attitude, I really want you to save your money. I want you to save your time, because it's probably not going to work for you. This is a campaign that really needs to be done for the long term. So if you can't do it for at least 3 months in a row consecutively, don't do it at all. That's my take on it. Now, I've had, many people, they just put out signs for 1 weekend, they get lucky, they do a deal, that's great. But longevity is so big. So for example, there's a spreadsheet that I have a lot of my students download, a production tracker, where they're tracking everything they're doing in their business. And this is a sample one. These are not real numbers, but you can track the amount of signs you put out, for example, every Friday night. And I want you to track the honest to goodness true numbers. And I want you to set a timer on your calendar or a reminder on your phone to do this. And then I want you to set that reminder for you to pull up this spreadsheet. So if you put out 0 signs, I want that 0 to stare you in the face and to be a little painful. So when you're wondering why you don't have any leads coming in or phone calls, you can see, well, I didn't really do anything, right? So by doing that, it kind of holds us accountable, and we can see over time, like, okay, this is what's happening. So that is number 1. So commit to tracking. The second thing is to actually put out the signs 25 to 50 every single weekend for the next 3 months, but better yet, the next year. So the second thing is actually truly putting it out every single weekend, putting out these signs with all diligence, with all the tips that I've listed in here, and committing to like being a master at this and really doing it right. And then the third thing that I want you to do to ensure that you get results with this is I want you to make a decision right now. I want you to make a decision right now, because you are going to get flooded with calls, and the volume, which we're going to talk about in a second, is a little cyclical, and we'll talk about that in a second. You're going to get flooded with calls. So you can do everything I've mentioned in these 4 videos in this 4-part training series with Bandit signs, and your phone can be ringing off the hook. But if you don't know how to talk to people effectively, how to build rapport, how to find out the vital details that we need to know to make an educated offer, how to analyze deals, how to make offers, how to do the rest of it, then that's going to be the next part that kind of gives you a sticking point. But that's okay. You don't need to know everything right now. What you need to do is you need to get moving, you need to take action and be consistent, and not worry about having to know everything perfectly. But I simply want you to make the commitment that you're going to be a beast on the phone, that you are going to get better at talking with people, that you're finally going to learn how to analyze deals more effectively, how to really make offers and do this business. You're going to learn the conversion piece. Whether that means studying more videos here on YouTube, whether that means finally investing in yourself and getting a mentor, whether that means picking one person, one course to follow, and going through a very, very detailed wholesaling course that's going to teach you the conversion piece of how to talk with sellers and how to make this happen. Because you can have one person that's getting 10, 15, 20 calls a week from leads, and they're doing nothing because they don't really know what they're doing. And you can have somebody else that has taken time to commit to getting better at this part of the process, and they're doing a deal a week or a couple deals a month from the same leads, right? A lot of it is what you're doing, what you're saying, the tone of voice, how you're helping people solve problems, and you're educating them with value and with solutions instead of hoping and begging and being desperate and not really knowing what you're doing. And I don't say that to be mean or intimidate you or make you feel bad, but I want to help you. I want you to finally have that click, that shift where you say, you know what, I'm going to finally do this. This is a very simple way. It's hard work for sure. It's going to be tough to be consistent, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my phone ringing off the hook, and then doggone it, I'm going to figure out how to talk to people. I'm going to figure out how to do this business. And if you can do those two things, your chances of succeeding are so infinitely higher than someone who says, well, this sounds cool, Steven. I'll try that Bandit, I'll try that Bandit sign thing. I'll see how it goes. So that's what I want you to commit to, guys. And if you really would like more information on that, there are two ways I could help you, and I really recommend you checking that out in the description below. And one is going through my very detailed wholesaling course called the Ultimate Wholesaling Blueprint. I dive into extreme detail. If you thought this training series was really cool and really detailed, you've not seen anything yet. You're going to love the blueprint. It's very reasonably priced. It's half off of what I used to charge for it and sold very successfully. It's helped so many people to get their first large spread deals and then scale their business from there. Definitely go check that out. And then if you really would like some one-on-one hand-holding and mentoring, that is a more expensive option. But I do work with people, and I have a few openings right now for mentoring, and that link is in the description. So one of those two ways, wherever you're at, definitely check those out, and that is going to help with the next piece of it in putting all this together. But anyways, I just want to touch on this last thing before we end, and that's the type of calls you're going to get. So with Bandit Signs, you're going to get all sorts of calls. You're going to get calls with people who have mobile homes, condos, all sorts of things. You're going to get calls of other wholesalers and looky-loos and people who really are just kind of curious. That's okay, and that's to be expected, okay? And the calls are going to be very cyclical. Some weeks you're going to get tons of calls, and other weeks you're going to get hardly any calls. And I don't want that to sway you, because a lot of people, they're so invested on a week-by-week basis where, if 1 week they don't get a lot of calls, they're like freaking out and thinking something went wrong. When you have to have that, and that's why I preach so much on that long-term mindset. Like, if you can't do this for 3 months or 6 months or a year, don't do it, because otherwise you're probably going to spend a couple $100 on Bandit Signs and a few hours of your time, and it's just all going to be wasted if you don't stick with it and have that thick skin and tough mindset, and know that, hey, I'm going to get a ton of calls, and I have to learn how to filter through them very, very quickly to the people who are motivated. To all the people who aren't, I'm going to try to educate them. I'm going to try to plant a little seed, paint a little picture of how I could potentially help them, and then, I'm going to keep it moving, right? So that's a little tiny tip right there on the attitude you need to have when you're talking with the sellers and how to be more effective. I used to try to make everything a deal. Everything's not a deal. Actually, most of the calls that you're getting, even with other lead sources, are not deals, and they're never going to be deals. It's learning how to filter through those leads very, very quickly and plant little seeds for possibilities in the future. And then for the ones that are really, really motivated, we really dive in on those, right? So you are going to get a lot of calls about mobile homes and other type of, crazy situations. I want you to focus in, and this goes for most markets around the country, I want you to focus in on single family houses. And I want you to focus in on people who are truly, truly motivated and they're willing to sell for a discount. That's a big piece of this. So that's all I'm going to say in this video, guys. I hope you got a ton out of it. If you did, let me know in the comments. Let me know your plans. Do you plan on implementing? If you plan on implementing this, you know, say something along the lines of like, Steven, this was freaking awesome, man. I plan to use this strategy. I'm committing to X amount of signs per week. It starts this weekend or next week or whatever. Boom, like let's have a little bit of accountability. And then again, I want you to set a reminder for 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and I want you to come back to this video and let me know the results that you got and the deals that you did from hearing this training. So again, guys, feel free to browse my channel, subscribe if you like this style, if you like this content, if you found it helpful. Be sure to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Take care.